Welcome to the Associated Guests. As always, I am your host, Alfie Animus, here at the Bear in Mind channel. Again, sorry for my weekend fall off. Leave it for me to get a 3-day weekend and then just be horribly sick for most of it. But we are back today. Not a whole lot of news over the weekend. I am planning on doing what I was going to do this weekend, unless something else major happens. But let's go ahead and jump into it here with Miss Vera Dark. Today, activists refuse to acknowledge what's it, Arc Raiders. And as we've seen a lot this year, they're really going against the indie studios and the smaller games. They went against Hollow Knight 2, Silksong, I think it was, because it had a lower price. And Arc, just like Hollow Knight, has a lower price. This one's $40, but it's a much, much bigger game. And it runs really well. It doesn't have a lot of diversity when it comes to skins and such, but those things can be gone into eventually. And then our second story, we'll see that the media on both sides is pulling a news story to better reflect their side of things, which isn't true on either side. And The Witcher Season 4 sucks. Imagine that. Let's continue.
The Access media will sit here and praise titles like The Last of Us Part 2, Dragon Age the Veilguard, and even something like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
Which sucked.
But their bias is, of course, very, very apparent, because now they are even refusing to review hit indie games. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I personally think that indies and AAs are the best part of the video game industry. They deserve so much credit for doing so much with so little. Small teams, small budgets, not as many resources as these large AAA companies, and yet they are putting out high quality performances time and time and time.
And they don't berate you with the message.
Again, because indie developers and AA developers are focused on making fun experiences. They don't usually give a fuck about shoving a narrative into a product. They just want you to walk away remembering their title because it was fun, high quality entertainment, and that magic has been lost when it comes to AAA games. Dragon Age the Veilguard, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice.
And I'll hear a lot of people saying, well, if you get an indie title, doesn't it have a lot of glitches? So what? So does Bethesda. Bethesda has not had a single game launch that I can remember that wasn't riddled with glitches and bugs. Just riddled with them. And people say that's part of Bethesda's charm. It hasn't been charming since Fallout 4. And probably even then it wasn't charming. And now they're beating you over the head with the message ever since pretty much every game that's come out since Fallout 76.
League. All of these different games either take existing franchises and series and butcher them and they modernize them, or they're brand new experiences like, I don't know, South of Midnight, and they're more focused on what they want the player to take out of it. They don't want to leave any question marks in your mind about the narrative, which sometimes can work, but generally I think that it's good to get people's brains thinking about a story, get the cogs turning in their mind. But when it comes to newer indie and AA games, the Access media is now refusing to review them, which just goes to show how biased they really are. Of course, there's a reason why they're called the Access media, because without their access, they would not be the media. If they were not
So because they're probably being threatened by the bigger budget, bigger studios, they're not reviewing the smaller, much better games because they don't want to lose their access to the big games. But these small guys will eventually become the big guys if things continue as they are. Let's just face it.
Constantly getting early review codes and interviews, and they were not getting information from these companies, nobody would ever go to their websites, period. And even with this access, they're not able to keep up with independent content creators like myself, for example. Sure, I don't get these codes and I'm not able to access the game early and review the game early, but I think it is so much better to be able to live stream it and show you guys my genuine first impressions. And I think that, of course, these reviewers should be required to either upload basically a full playthrough on a YouTube channel at release or live stream a full playthrough. That should be a requirement to.
I don't know about a requirement, but they should at least have to pass, maybe not to us, but there should be a reliable source at any news site, especially a gaming news site, that shows that you've completed it. Just access to your Steam account, what have you. But you should have to experience at least a big portion of a thing before you can say whether or not thing is good. And that's positive or negative. I do not care. Most of the games that I say anything about, I've usually played a good portion of them. Or at least played enough to know if I suck at them. And I know myself well enough to know that it's me. It's a skill issue. It is not the game's fault that I suck at it.
To get a code, or at least a certain section of a game, like a portion, maybe like 50 or 75%. But I think that when they start to refuse to review indie games and actually give them scores, it shows how desperate they are, because they see the Ubisofts and the
pathetic
EAs
is the word.
all struggling right now. They see the BioWares and the Obsidians going through major layoffs, and they realize when the Remedies are saying we have to get rid of CEOs and go through major shakeups, that the industry is changing so much that they need to try to hold the line for these companies, because if they can have more sales for a game happen because of a few reviews, right? If they can lead a few people to a game to purchase it, maybe these companies won't actually go under, and then they'll be able to keep their access. But Arc Raiders, Megabonk, Escape from Duckov, all games that people are talking about right now, games with extremely high player counts on Steam, and none of them are being reviewed.
Escape from Duckov. Does she mean Escape from Tarkov, or is that another game I haven't heard of?
From major outlets. Let's start off with Arc Raiders. It came out 2 days ago. It's doing phenomenal right now. Tons of people are loving it. The user score is sitting at an 8.8, which is extremely positive, and yet there are no critic scores. No critic scores, even though the game had its all-time peak 1 minute ago of 279,897. You would think that out of this, a couple of game journos have been playing it and could make reviews, could actually leave their thoughts on.
Escape from Duckov is real. Okay. Okay, so this is apparently Escape from Duckov. This is more my speed. This is the Escape from Tarkov that I would, maybe not. But either way, I'm curious. I am curious. This is clearly a pun or a parody of Escape from Tarkov.
The Metacritic platform, but none of them have. Here we have Megabonk, a game that released about a month and a half ago, September 18th, 2025, that tons of people are loving. A user score of an 8.4, which are all extremely high, but no. A meta score of TBD, because none of them have actually reviewed it. And if you look down here at the latest critic review page, sure, there are technically some outlets that are leaving it reviews, but we are talking about very small outlets in most cases. Like Destructoid is the largest here.
Duckov is
we
only
have
$18.
Game Reactor. We have Game 8. So we are not talking about the Polygons and Kotakus. We are not talking about major outlets here. If we go to Arc Raiders, right? PC Games, Try Hard Guides, Gaming Trend, Xbox Era, PC Gamer didn't actually leave a score. It just says TBD, so I guess PC Gamer's the largest one here, but still, we're not talking.
Side note, speaking of Escape from anything of, Escape from Tarkov has an official release date here in 11 days. So, all right, now I can officially play the fully realized game that I suck at. I mean, I'm still curious.
talking about a significant amount, and we're not talking about the largest ones in the industry, except for there is PC Gamer. But if we even go to Escape from Duckov, we are talking actually about a little bit of a different situation, because user score sitting in an 8.5, the critic scores actually sitting at a 77. So some of them have rated it, but we're also talking about very small outlets, except for, I think, an IGN France. So GameGrin, The Games Machine, GameSurf, Game8, GameStar, Movie Games and Tech is this fucking AI. I'm not trying to be mean here, but I've never heard of any of these outlets,
Right.
and so I don't necessarily know like if you should trust them and trust their scores. I have played Escape from Duckov. I think that it is phenomenal, and I've also played Arc Raiders. I also think that it's very
does look
good.
like a lot of
I
fun.
haven't played Mega Bonk. I know so many people have told me it's great, but I've seen so much gameplay
I have
of
Arc
it.
Raiders.
I've heard so many good things. Though when you have basically unknown outlets,
It looks pretty good.
leaving scores, it just doesn't bode very well. The largest here is Destructoid at a 70, Dual Shockers, and then IGN France. So also not the largest in the industry, and I think that this is so scummy that this is happening to such amazing games that deserve attention, games that actually deserve to be taken seriously by the access media, and gamers are taking these titles seriously. Again, all above 8s, which are phenomenal, and we're talking hundreds of thousands of people in some of these games, and yet they're getting absolutely terrible scores or no scores because these journos aren't taking these studios seriously. But when a Dragon Age of Veilguard comes out, they'll leave a review instantly.
And they'll leave a overly positive review when the game wasn't that good. Let's face it, it was probably the worst of the Dragon Age games. Whether you liked it or not, whether you thought it was a technical achievement, it wasn't any of those things. It was horrible, the most linear Dragon Age game ever, especially when it comes to your personal character. It sucked. It was awful.
A Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League comes out, they'll leave a review immediately. And you could argue that, oh, it's because they're getting codes for those larger games and they're not getting codes for Arc Raiders and Mega Bonks and Escape from Duckovs. Sure, that would be a fine argument if the games came out one day ago. Arc Raiders, okay, it came out 2 days ago. I think that if you're a legitimate video game journalist and reviewer, you just, do a 24-hour marathon of playing it, sleep for a couple hours, then put up a review. But
depending on your size, obviously, like some of these ones that you didn't recognize, they're probably just small YouTubers or streamers or whatever, whereas all the big guys, and they definitely didn't get any codes. More than likely they did not get any codes, whereas these big guys, either they got codes and they just didn't use them, or they just weren't paying any attention. They don't care because it's not any of the people who they want to party with.
Raiders aside, Mega Bonk came out a month and a half ago. They haven't reviewed it. Escape from Duckov now came out, 2 weeks ago? They still haven't reviewed it. It's just so shit that we're seeing this happen to games that do deserve a hell of a lot of credit and a lot of attention.
And I'll give them Escape from Duckov because that's clearly a very well put together parody of another game that also isn't mainstream. I don't expect them to play every single indie game, obviously. But games like Arc Raiders has a lot. There's a lot of media behind it. I've seen previews for it. I've seen it advertised all kinds of places. Not nearly as many as maybe a Dragon Age of Veilguard or any of the mainstream games, but a lot for a game that I really know nothing about. I've had people at work talking about this game. So yeah, they should be reviewing it at least. The other games, maybe not so much, but this one, definitely. It was advertised on, I think it was advertised on my smart TV.
Because they're doing so much good in a time where the industry is going through so much bad and through so much turmoil. And this is why I personally do not trust the reviewers. I do not trust the critics. And this is why I think it's so important that whether you are somebody who views content on YouTube or Twitch or Kick or X, you find reviewers that you trust, whether that is a YouTuber or a live streamer or just a content creator. Find somebody who actually plays these games, who takes their craft seriously and takes this industry seriously, and listen to them, because the access media is ignoring some absolutely phenomenal games because they're so desperate to defend the AAA companies. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this important and informative, make sure to...
All right, go make sure you give Miss Vera Dark a like, watch some videos, maybe subscribe if you like what you see. But 100% true. Like I said, Arc Raiders, there's no excuse. These other games, sure, there's a million indie titles a day by a lot of people who are trying to make it. They want to be the next Minecraft, but they just aren't there. So I don't expect every single indie title to be reviewed by every single source. But one the size of Arc Raiders, which is pretty big. I would say it's bigger than Escape from Tarkov, because I know a bunch of more mainstream people have heard of it, especially some of the streamers and such I know who have been playing it over the weekend. This is the big game of the weekend. They should have some kind of review on it. But it is what it is. If it's not up by today, then they just don't care. They don't care because they're not giving them all the plaudits and accolades and all that shit. But let's continue to see what Mr. Crowder says about Trump meeting with China.
Hey everybody, welcome. We're going to be responding to and roasting some dumb today.
Wait, what the fuck?
The access media will sit here and...
I think we're going to have a fantastic relationship.
Okay, you can't hit next, even though it's in your
period of time.
I always believe that China's development goes hand in hand with your vision to make America great again.
New York.
I mean, when you say going hand in hand, it's a lot like the 90s original Super Smash Brothers first commercial, where it's me and you and me, and then just start kicking the shit out of each other.
Times. This is what they wrote. The art of letting Trump claim a win while walking away stronger. Mr. Xi's message seemed to be Beijing had proven its capacity to hit back, and Washington would do well to remember it. Then on the right, Eric Doherty wrote on X, breaking, President Trump just scored a massive victory in his meeting with Chinese President Xi. Neither one of those is accurate. President Trump and Xi Jinping met yesterday, and here's the thing. You see two splits. You see the left saying, Xi cooked Trump. Oh my God, this is a disaster. Look, it just shows what a feckless leader we have. And then you have people on the right saying, Trump owned Xi. It's not even close. This is great for America. I actually think this is a pretty good litmus test as to who you trust, who you want to listen to. Neither one is being very honest. I would say if you take it all together, spoiler alert, it's kind of neutral. Not as much happened as you would think. But here's a brief montage so you're all caught up.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great honor to be with a friend of mine, really for a long time now, if you think about it. The very, very distinguished and respected president of China. And we will be having some discussions. I think we've already agreed to a lot of things, and we'll agree to some more right now. But President Xi is a great leader of a great country, and I think we're going to have a fantastic relationship for a long period of time.
I always believe that China's development goes hand in hand with your vision to make America great again. Our two countries are fully able to help each other succeed and prosper together. Over the years, I have stated in public many times that China and the United States should be partners and friends.
Okay, so the meeting lasted about an hour, 45 minutes. Let me give you some reactions from the left. Check the references. New York Times, this is what they wrote. The art of letting Trump claim a win while walking away stronger. Mr. Xi's message seemed to be Beijing had proven its capacity to hit back, and Washington would do well to remember it. Ooh. And there was a lot of this. I'm just giving you some examples here. Then on the right, Eric Doherty wrote on X, breaking, President Trump just scored a massive victory in his meeting with Chinese President Xi. China is going to buy USA oil and gas from Alaska. That's on top of buying 12 million metric tons of soybeans this season. That's 25 million tons per year for 3 years. China is curbing fentanyl trafficking. Trump is reducing tariffs to 47 from 57%. This is a win, all caps exclamation.
I mean, is it though?
Neither one of those is accurate.
This is a stalemate.
Clear. And I'm just trying to be objective, call balls and strikes here. Before I get to that, this is fun. President Trump claimed.
Before he gets to that, quick expose. So Gavin Newsom, as many people on the left said over the weekend, Donald Trump hosted a great Gatsby party while SNAP benefits were about to disappear for 42 million Americans. He does not give a damn about you. To which I was about to reply until I saw Pierce Morgan had replied, "You broke your own COVID rules to attend a big dinner party at one of America's fanciest restaurants during the pandemic," which is true. As millions of Californians were suffering, you didn't give a damn about them. The internet never forgets. So Gavin Newsom coming out here with all this bullshit, thinking that we don't remember all the things that he got caught doing during COVID or during his whole tenure, or the fact that he's one of the shittiest politicians, as a lot of politicians from California tend to be out there. Not saying that the ones from my state or even the state I'm currently residing in are any better. I mean, they are a little bit. There's no scandals to these sides, and there's certainly no failing up. You're either good at your job, you represent your people, which the ones from these states tend to do. They just believe differently from you. Whether that's good or bad is up to the people that vote for them. But yet somehow these guys keep getting reelected. They should be primaried. If only people cared as much about the primaries as they do about the actual election, we'd have a lot less shitty politicians.
That went very well in the way you would expect Trump to claim it.
We're going to issue a statement on some of the details. But overall, I guess on the scale of from 0 to 10, with 10 being the best, I would say the meeting was a 12. Okay, I think it was a 12.
That's...
I love how he doubles down. He's like, yeah, I think it was a 12.
Now, here's the thing. He's going to do that. All presidents are going to trumpet
Trump
their
is his biggest
wins or
cheerleader.
try and spin it as a win. It's not a loss, to be clear. But people in media need to do their job, which is to try and be somewhat accurate. And you can list your opinion, of course. This is mainly a comedy show. But I'm never going to lie to you. And I see too much of it where I'm like, yeah, legacy media was awful, but the fake news thing is it's gotten out of hand across the board, where they used to select their facts, right? And there would be a lot of lies by omission on legacy media. And now you do have people who just make things up completely. I'm not saying that's the case right here specifically on every point, but it often is. So let me lay the groundwork here. President Trump,
pretty much,
before this, said that South Korea would be getting nuclear subs. But he said, our military alliance is stronger than ever before, and based on that, I have given them approval to build a nuclear-powered submarine rather than the old-fashioned and far less nimble diesel-powered subs that they have now. A great trip with a great president of South Korea. And by the way, good news, that sub, it's going to be built in Philadelphia. So they're going to build these submarines here. That's good for jobs. He also said that the United States was going to restart their nuclear testing.
Which I'm a little concerned about. Why?
Well, to make sure they work.
Gotta set one off.
It's like, you gotta, if you have like a vintage car, a classic car, you have to run it every now and then.
Okay.
You can't just let it sit idle.
Can we test them in China?
That'd be fun.
I don't know. I think we're low on radiation here. So. Maybe put a little more of that in the air.
But he did say we're going to test it. He said, I hated to do it, but I had no choice.
Build up our weapons, yeah.
Yeah, talking about weapons and then mentioning Russia, China, that I think it's a show of strength. There have been no tests of our nuclear weapons since 1992.
Wow.
Some people are saying it's a show of force. Some people are saying it's actually something necessary on a technical level. And some people are saying that this really just has the makings of a classic standoff.
We don't have any standoffs in recent memory to base it off of. And old people are just misremembering or doing that thing where that most media people do and straight up fucking lying. Oh, bother. He looks like Winnie the Pooh. Whose hand is that?
And you may say that was needlessly long. I say it was just the right length.
Perfect. Perfect.
Key developments, tariffs related to fentanyl.
I've agreed, as you know, I put a 20% tariff on China because of the fentanyl coming in, which is it's a big tariff. And based on the statements today, I reduced it by 10%, so it's 10% instead of 20%, effective immediately.
What will your new tariff rate on China's goods be once you sign a deal?
Other than what the tariffs remain exactly the same.
55%.
It's about, it was 57, now it's 47.
And how long?
Because we reduced it by the fentanyl.
So that's not super significant. By the way, all we've really seen is Xi Jinping saying he'll cut down on fentanyl.
Yeah.
Which, in my opinion, isn't enough. But you also see why Donald Trump started off with really high tariffs.
Yeah.
Because he can reduce it. You know, it's carrot and stick. Rare earths, that's a big thing, right? China agreed to roll back some of the October sort of stipulations on rare earth exports. But the answer, again, is not fully clear.
We'll negotiate at the end of the year. But all of the rare earth has been settled. And that's for the world. I mean, worldwide. This, I guess you could really say this was a worldwide situation, not just the U.S. situation.
Is that a one-year pause on the policy they announced?
It's 1 year. It's a 1 year agreement, and we'll extend it after a year.
And what will
like we do.
Like we do.
Yeah, like we do. Then the final answer here, a lot of people had questions about this. He wasn't really clear on the business between NVIDIA and China, but he did say that NVIDIA's their Blackwell chips were pretty much off the table.
We did discuss chips, and he's going to be there.
I ate some chips.
They
were pretty tasty.
About taking chips. Look, we make great chips. NVIDIA is the leader. And I'll be speaking to Jensen.
I bet it went like it's always done in Philadelphia. Charlie and Mac fighting over chips.
To see whether or not they can do. I said that's really between you and NVIDIA, but we're sort of the arbitrator or the referee. It's a little rough up here. The skies are a little rough.
And just to clarify, sir, that is the downgraded Blackwell chips. You would authorize those to be exported?
No, not the Blackwell. We're not talking about the Blackwell. That just came out yesterday.
And so really the most accurate interpretation is not a whole lot happened. We're pretty much back to the status quo that was kind of early October. Still a lot of questions. What's going to happen with fentanyl? How are they going to curb it? Is China going to honor any of these commitments? We never know. It could go either way.
The answer is no, most likely.
And that's the challenge, right? It's boring. It's a wait and see, but the New York Times isn't going to do that, and neither are people on the right who are going to tell you that look, they're going to buy these soybeans. Yeah, but it's still less than they were before.
Yeah.
And it's fine. And I'll tell you, here's proof. You find this segment boring.
I think it's important to point out the difference between what the media is saying, what the people on the right that just want to be kind of Trump sycophants, which fine, whatever, but just it's not reality, right? I came in and talked to Lane because I think Scott Bessent over the weekend had made some comments about this, and a lot of people started posting like, this is a huge win for the United States. We've worked out the rare earth problem.
It's really not.
The recent memo that went out about how to use them, and if you use it to a certain degree, not that sparked the tariffs, but the problem that China had so much dominance in rare earths that we had solved that problem. And now when we see the agreement, it's like, it's a 1 year pause on a policy that didn't exist in August. So they threw something out there. We got a 1 year pause on that. They got the things they wanted. And maybe we got a couple of things sort of that we wanted. It's so unclear whether we actually did any good with this or not. I mean, maybe the markets are the best way to look at it. I think we talked about that. Like the markets are kind of mixed on this. The NASDAQ's down, Dow's up. There's other things that are playing into it. But look, if it was the win from the weekend, then, the NASDAQ and the Dow, they would be going crazy with this information. Mm-hmm. If it was a huge loss, that you would be seeing that from this, and it's not. So it just seems like middle of the road. So hopefully
it's just a thing that happened.
And I hate saying that with China, though.
And I think you guys actually, I guess they can't gift subs right now, but I was going to say,
no.
We're able to just sort of do this in call balls and strikes, because sometimes you want to be, you want to be informed as to recent news. And if there's not much happening, we also think it's pretty important to be able to tell you, don't necessarily trust the folks who are sensationalizing it on either side. We're able to do that because I can tell you definitively we're funded by viewers like you and a sponsor a day. There's no Israel money, not a dime. There's no Qatar money, not a dime. There's no lobbying money, not a dime.
Well, that's
good. Name on that sign owns 100% of this company.
Yep.
We're only able to do it objectively where we don't have to clickbait chase because of that. So thank you very much. And it's boring. Sometimes news is boring. You're like, it used to be okay.
Yeah. No, look, I think it's totally fine. And it's not boring when Lane chimes in and he's like, China bought none of the extra $200 billion of U.S. exports in Trump's trade deal that they signed previously. And Lane just said, they just effing lie all the time.
Yeah. It's hard to know.
I know he's animated out there about the fact that these guys aren't going to hold up their end of the bargain.
Yeah.
So, but
it's China.
Here's the thing.
Not all, but most of China.
We need to call balls and strikes on this stuff. I think that's the most important part of the story, honestly.
To quote a famous philosopher,
but I do have
Donald Trump, don't trust China. China is asshole.
Because he seems to do this strategically and get to the place he wants to go. It's just not obvious that we're there yet or that we will get there, but I'm hopeful that we will.
I will say, as it relates to China, he's the only one who's even tried.
I know.
With every other...
had the balls to go over there and be like, well, fine, we'll hit you with 100% tariffs on November 1st. Why don't maybe pick up the phone?
No one.
Yeah.
No one. With every other president of my lifetime was, you didn't even try.
I know.
You didn't even try. Name that movie line. Oh, you're still
that's
here
Hook.
watching this on
When
YouTube.
Robin
There's
Williams'
no more.
fat ass couldn't save his son Jack. He didn't even try.
Just like YouTube. YouTube is over. It's not a thing anymore.
All right.
How many Seth...
All right, so that was a little more boring than normal, but it is important to notice that a lot of the times when it comes to what MSNBC and CNN saying, and then Fox News and what's the I have it written, Newsmax. I had to write it down because I don't care. The truth is usually somewhere in between. Newsmax is barely reputable. It's not even a thing really. I think that's the one. It might even be. Isn't there another one? But the truth is always somewhere in between. Like I said, the left usually leaves things out to make the other side look worse and them look better, and the right does the same thing, but in reverse. Never trust any of the mainstream sources. They don't care about you. It's the same thing as the gaming access media. They don't care about you. All they care about is partying with these people, and the way they can keep partying with these people is if they both keep making money on the bullshit. No, they shouldn't make better shit so they don't have to lie. They should just half-ass it and then party all the time, make a mediocre product, and then you will just consume the slop. Anyway, let's continue to see more slop on The Witcher Season 4, now sans Henry Cavill. Being a complete waste of time. As you know, The Witcher started off pretty good, a bit of a jumbled mess. Henry Cavill, as brought to light by Beau DeMayo, the creator of X-Men, the showrunner of Season 1 of X-Men 97, brought to light that Henry Cavill was seen as problematic because he loved the source material and wanted the show to reflect that. But all the people who were running it wanted was girl bosses, and for Henry Cavill to just sit there and be menacing and eye candy, basically the opposite of the inverse of how they deem movies and shows of 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, probably most likely 40 years ago, stuff that they've heard about from some of the old skanks on set. But let's continue to see how it did with Liam Hemsworth, of all people, which I have to say, if it came to doing this show and not being with Miley Cyrus, as crazy as she looks now, or not doing this show and being with Miley Cyrus, as crazy as she looks right now, I think he made the right choice. I'm not saying those two choices are mutually exclusive. I'm saying it could be worse. But let's continue.
As the years have gone by, Netflix's Witcher series has gotten worse and worse. Recasts, rewrites, moving further away from the source material has truly damaged this show to the point of no return. There's no way that they could save it going into the last season.
It's unrecognizable.
But now that season 4 is out and we only have one more to go, this show is basically hated by everybody.
We have one more to go. How in the name of holy fuck is this show still going? I've seen them cancel shows in the height of their popularity, and they take forever between seasons. What year? When did The Witcher season 1 come out? Yeah, December of 2019, right before the world fell apart. I'm pretty sure that was the rapture. And why didn't a bunch of people disappear? Because we're all horrible. You can call me a lunatic. You can't call me a liar. But, I mean, you can, but you're wrong. But, so 2019. So this is season 4. They're doing a little bit better than most shows. Let's see when Stranger Things, because they're about to go into season 5 of Stranger Things. When was Stranger Things first released? 2016. So almost 9 years. These kids were anywhere between like 10 and 14 when this show came out. Now they're all adults. And Millie Bobby Brown, she looks so old. I'm so sorry to say that. Like she's still very pretty or whatever, but she looks so old. Like I don't know what it is about child actors in Hollywood that just look like they've lived the worst. Well, I know what it probably is because I've seen all the stuff Corey Feldman's put out, and as much as they shamed him on The View when he went on there, but it's just it's horrifying. But I'm sorry, I'm getting off topic here. So let's continue on with Liam Hemsworth being a background character in a show to which he is the title character, being put in the background for the other two characters. I can't even remember their names because I don't care. This show has made me not even want to go back to play Witcher 2 and 3. Actually, honestly, Witcher 3 made it to where I couldn't go back and play 2, but that's just because of the huge graphical and story jump. But I will probably, after I'm done with Halloween, I'll probably start playing The Witcher on Monday and possibly Thursday nights. Witcher 3. If I don't suck at it. God, I hope I don't suck at it. It's been a long time.
I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I actually thought season 1 of this was pretty good. Sure, it wasn't the most accurate to the source material.
It wasn't at all. It was interesting, but it was really hard to keep up with. They could have done a better job at making this. I don't know. Like it was really hard to understand what was going on and when. I understand that was kind of the point. You didn't want to know what time the stuff with the little girl was happening. But I don't know. It seemed really disjointed. Anyway, sorry.
But it was still entertaining. It was still fun. It was still pretty well acted. Season
it was.
2,
Henry Cavill
I
carried the
thought
show.
Was still a decline in quality, but not as bad as the jump from season 3 and season 4.
Definitely
Those
not.
2 seasons were absolutely atrocious. I hated them. And now that season 4 is out, basically everybody hates it, and rightfully so. They went on and on about how it's more faithful to the source material,
It's
and
not.
they're really trying to make fans happy with this season.
They're not.
And that was a complete and utter lie. They did the worst job possible. The recasts did not work. You have new cast members brought on, pretty big and prominent actors like Lawrence Fishburne, who I do think did an okay job as Regis, but the issue is that an amazing actor can still only do so much with a terrible script,
Yes.
and that's what they gave him. These people do not know the source material, they do not know the books, they don't even know the video games, and if they initially went into this having the mentality of trying to follow the games closer than the books, because yes, I do think that they are quite different, that
Yes.
still would have
Yes,
been
they are.
okay, because people still would have been getting some sort of adaptation of some Witcher product, but that's not what they did. They went into this with
I'll
the
call it a
worst
bad
mindset
adaptation.
possible, and that was basically fuck the fans, and they are getting absolutely annihilated for it. The All Critics score is sitting at a 60, which is very generous, but the top critics score is sitting at a
it's extremely
measly
generous.
33%. Now, I personally do not trust the critics. I
No.
generally don't care about what they have to say, and the audience scores are where this gets really bad for Netflix, because the
word is
score
hilarious.
sitting
It
at
gets
a
hilarious.
19%, and this isn't some negative review bomb. This isn't some group of toxic bigots giving it bad scores.
I mean,
It's
that's what they'll
Witcher
say it
fans
is, but it's
giving this
truly not.
shallow, really mediocre, honestly terrible Witcher adaptation the bad scores, because it deserves a 19%. It really freaking does.
Yeah,
So
no,
heading
100%.
on over to what users are saying, like a cringe fever dream, plot holes, weird pacing, and they axed Vesemir. At this point, I trust the monsters more than the writers. The Vesemir situation pissed me off to no end, because he is alive in the books, but in Witcher 3, they did decide to kill him, but Ciri is there. Geralt isn't there, Yennefer isn't there, and I thought it would have been perfectly fine to have him die in this show if Ciri was there, because it's used as a catalyst and such an emotionally impactful moment for her. And I think that in the games, this is my interpretation of it, that is where she really starts to take shit seriously. This is where she says, I either have to step up to the plate or more people I love are going to die, because that was her mentor and one of her father figures, same as Geralt. And in this show, not only does he die in an absolutely horrendous way, and Yennefer's the one there, not like she really cared about him ever, but you have this scene where Yennefer and Geralt finally get together, and she's like, yeah, Vesemir's dead. And he doesn't frown, he doesn't cry, he doesn't like get up and pace around, and he's really angry, and he's like hitting stuff with his sword. He doesn't show any emotion. And Lauren Hisrich had said, oh, he's a much more emotionally intense Geralt this season with Liam's spin.
That's just them trying to shit on Henry Cavill.
That is a moment where,
Like, that's literally just them shitting on Henry Cavill. They tried to pin all the bad stuff in season 2 and 3 on Henry Cavill, saying he was being difficult. No, he just wanted to be accurate to the source material. The same way he wanted to be for, was it Warhammer 40,000 or whatever? And then I'm pretty sure that's done, because Amazon sucks.
I could see him actually getting really upset and giving that depth to the character. Nope. He just kind of sits there, and then it's not brought up again. Absolutely abysmal. That is honestly one of the worst points of this season by far. The other worst part, in my opinion, was at the start, they tried to get you to forget about Henry Cavill by showing multiple scenes throughout each season and CGIing Liam Hemsworth's face onto Henry Cavill. So, like at the end of season 1, where Yennefer, Ciri, and Geralt are all finally together.
It's like, hey, why is his body bigger than his
face over Henry Cavill's? As if that's going to make it any better. As if that's going to get us to forget about Cavill. Cavill was amazing. Sure, he still wasn't the same as Geralt in the games.
No, he
or
definitely
the books,
wasn't.
But his take on Geralt was still really good, and he looked the part. And when he was around in season 1, I thought that he did help elevate the quality. Now in season 2 and season 3, they stopped really listening to him. At that point, they wanted him off the show, so they weren't listening to his suggestions.
Because he was
But
problematic.
they should have,
Because he wanted the show to be
really
closer
made
to the
season
source
1
material.
very special, and it's so sad to see something that could have been as big as Game of Thrones be taken and butchered by people. If they actually hired fans, this could have turned out to be half decent. I'm so triggered over this. My God. Liam Hemsworth makes for an anemic casting of The Witcher, as awkward to watch as Steve Rogers before the super serum. Whether suffering from a shoestring budget or poor directing, season 4 lacks the
That's a
gloomy
good one.
atmosphere and intense world building found in the previous seasons. Wigs and costumes look like they're from Spirit Halloween and are far too
They
clean.
really do. I haven't seen the actual show yet. I do plan on watching it as soon as I can finish season 3, because it was so hard to watch. But I've seen a lot of clips and a lot of previews. It's a huge downgrade, even though they say this is the highest I think they said this was the most they've spent on this show. It looks terrible. It looks worse than the Willow show that Disney wants you to forget about.
Since season 2, it has become one of the worst fantasy shows out there. Sheer mockery of the source material, can't recommend to anyone. And of course, they do race swap several characters. And one issue is Missile. So if you don't know, in the books, the rats do show up. And of course, they're not like the merry band of DEI squad. But they decided to race swap Missile in this. And she basically becomes Ciri's black lesbian lover, which in the books, Ciri's like 14 or 15, and Missile rapes her. And I felt like it wasn't as emotionally impactful in this, but they also go on to show like almost a loving relationship between the two of them, where in the books, Ciri was basically just so desperate to not be alone at that point. She's like, yeah, I guess I'll stay with them. But they butchered that relationship, or they turned it into a relationship, I suppose I should say, because they wanted, representation on the screen, which definitely was not the best choice if you're trying to tell people, hey, we're being more accurate to the material. After the first season, there were already many doubts as to whether the Witcher series could be an adaptation worthy of its book counterpart. While there's still some hope after the first installment, the second season completely buried the series. What is more, is this happened not only in terms of the book adaptation, but also as an adventure fantasy TV series for those unfamiliar with the books. It's an American low-cost fantasy. Sadly, it wasn't going for another season, and it actually is. It's getting one more. It's getting season 5, but
I don't know how.
Really know what they plan to do in it at this point to save it. I think they're just kind of going to push it out because they
plan to shovel it into the
4 and 5
ground
simultaneously. Why did they do this to my favorite TV show? Simply awful from the very first minute. Redoing key scenes with Hemsworth was a terrible move and won't make us forget the depth Cavill brought to the character. And again, even critics are generally saying they dislike it, and I don't necessarily trust them, but it is interesting to see. The Guardians,
it is pretty interesting seeing them
Sarah
shit on
Dempster
it.
describe Hemsworth as being
It's a lot
as
of fun for me.
charismatic as a ballard in a wig. The tone remains wildly uneven, lurching as it does between steeple-fingered Game of Thronesy gloominess and those early 90s Saturday afternoon series in which an uncommunicative hunk wanders between small communities, rescuing imperiled innocents from baddies while learning about the true
They're
meaning of
talking
friendship.
about Hercules.
So film described the season as the epitome of squandered potential. Writing The Witcher season 4 makes...
They're talking about Hercules, to which they also made a sister series, Xena Warrior Princess. That's true. Yes, they made a few of those series, but they were entertaining and they were good for TV series in the 90s when shit like that. I mean, they did it good for cheap.
Some inexcusable decisions in terms of character fates. Major characters are killed off way too early and robbed of their narrative purpose, and integral character moments are transposed for no reason whatsoever. They also basically did nothing with Geralt in this because they have him traveling around going, Ciri, 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 Ciri. But on the way, he should be fighting monsters. Every episode, there should be a new battle, a new monster, a new
100%.
dilemma
He should be fighting all the monsters.
And that really doesn't happen. And that really ticks me off, too. There's a reason why Geralt has been the main character of the games up until Witcher 4. And there's a reason why.
And that doesn't even make any sense because I'm pretty sure the lore of the franchise is that only men can be Witchers. Women have all the crazy cool stuff that they can do too. But now they're bringing the cringe crap from the series and the spin-off series into the games. And if she's not a Witcher, then I'll give it another look. But if she's a Witcher, or they don't give me some good reason for her to be so, then I don't know.
So many people love him, and he has so much potential. You could just have him fighting one monster every...
And I do need to do a lore dive when it comes to The Witcher. I need to get deeper into the lore. It's been a long time since I've played it. So who knows? I might do that this weekend.
Episode, and people would be like, hell yeah, this is badass. At least Geralt is doing something, but he basically does nothing because, of course, this is a feminist Witcher. They want to make the females the lead characters, and it is so sad to see.
Which, and the thing on this, look, make your own shit. No one cares, and everyone, as long as the show's good, or the action's good, or something about it is good, or well done, or thought out at all, especially when it comes to multiple movies or a series, no one cares if it's a woman at the lead, as long as it's believable. If you make it believable within the realm of whatever world you're building it in. But making a show called The Witcher and having it be about everybody but The Witcher, and then he just kind of pops up from here and there, nobody wants to see that shit. Like, I would feel the exact same way if you made a show called Buffy the Vampire Slayer and you just followed Spike around, or any of them, or Xander, for God's sake. That's how it is. It would be like focusing on Spike and Xander, and then Buffy just kind of pops in here and there. Buffy the Vampire Slayer is awesome, and it's beloved. I still go back and watch the series like every couple of years because it's that good, and it's funny. It's Whedon at his peak, or Firefly is Whedon at his peak, honestly. But it's really, really good.
See them put the least amount of effort into this possible. Radio Times said as Cavill's absence looms large over a story weighed down by uneven writing and tone, plus questionable performances and production design, it's clear that Netflix's flagship fantasy series has lost its magic. I don't even really know if it ever had the magic. I still liked season 1, but it wasn't the best adaptation
season 1 had
possible.
had some stuff.
It's just sad that they did have a good foundation for what could have been an amazing series. I actually felt this way about The Force Awakens too. I thought that if they had actually built off of those performances, it could have turned it into something good. Was it my favorite Star Wars movie ever? No, but it had that potential, and The Witcher had potential too.
No, it was full of
but
potential.
They completely squandered it. So yeah, right now it is being raked across the coals by basically everybody.
As
and
well it should
I
be.
can't say that I feel all that bad, given they disrespected Cavill and the source material. They gave fans the finger, and now their series is absolutely getting destroyed.
But not the Index or Pinky. That's the one you put up when you don't give up.
Your
Anyway.
thoughts in the comments below. If you found this important and informative, make
All right. I saw this pop up from Chrissy Mayer. Let's see what's it.
Right here, I feel like this right here is some racist as fucking shit. You know, selling them motherfucking cotton bitch. My ancestors died, and I just got stabbed. That's how they used to be feeling. You know what? Dollar Tree, count your days, bitch. Why is you selling this stuff in here like that? That's not cute. That's not cool. That's not okay. This not funny.
This is people finding racism because they're looking for it. It's literally just cotton pods. I could understand if this person or anyone who she's ever met in her life, whether it be great grandma or anything, ever had to actually pick cotton. But just seeing it because you read it in a history book, because some people who looked like you, and that's the really fun thing. Like people like that girl from The View, I think it was, found out that her white ancestors were slaveholders, and that her black ancestors, I'm pretty sure they said her black ancestors were never slaves. They moved here in like the 1920s or 30s or some shit. Sonny Hostin, I think that's what her name was. I know the slaveholder part's true. Her white family lineage goes back to the slaveholders, but I can't remember if the black side of her family is true. But that's just people looking at everything and seeing racism, because that's all that's there these days. People are trying to make, and I'm not saying that black people don't struggle or anything like that. I'm just saying that stuff like this is absolutely ridiculous. Going to Dollar Tree or Dollar General or whatever she said, and seeing cotton pods and losing her fucking mind right here is silliness. Is absolute craziness. Like I don't understand. Let's do a quick. I'm really trying to see if anything. So I'm trying to see if anything came down from Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes' interview. Look, Tucker Carlson's gone off the deep end a little bit, and believe it or not, Nick Fuentes, who yes is a white supremacist, or no, a white nationalist. I'm sorry, he's a white nationalist, and apparently yes, there is a difference. But he's actually mellowed out since Charlie Kirk's death, and he's, I don't know, become a lot more reasonable. And Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens have gone off the fucking deep end. So have the Hodge twins. But I don't know. I don't understand, but maybe it's not for me to understand. But in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank y'all very, very much for joining me, to the couple of people who popped in and out and the couple of people who stayed for the whole deal. Go see Very Dark. Go see all these people. They're very, very hard workers. I didn't do anything from Hypnotic today because he didn't do anything that I thought would be particularly interesting. But The Witcher used to be a great, had great lore. I do plan on doing a lore deep dive for The Witcher at some point, just because I want to learn about it myself before I start playing The Witcher 3 again, which should be, I should have that going by December, I want to say. But anyway, thank you for coming today. I very much appreciate y'all. Y'all have a great day. And remember, take care of yourselves and each other. And be careful out there, especially if you're working